Well, to delve a little deeper into the psychological implications of all of this, we can speak now to Cary Cooper, a professor of organisational psychology and health at the University of Manchester in the UK. Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. Now, we're seeing yet more restrictions lifted, allowing greater liberties here in France. Much of the nation must surely be heaving a huge sigh of relief after a long period of perhaps feeling low or out of the loop.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think people's mental health, if we've looked at all the studies during the pandemic that took place throughout the whole of Europe, the mental health of people suffered, children, everybody, homeschooling, lockdowns, constraints on your behavior. And now, as things are easing up, as more and more people are vaccinated, which I think is the critical dimension here. I think the mental well-being of people will be increased. Thank goodness, because I think we need that now. I guess my own worry is that, not everybody is vaccinated, and there are a large number of people who still don't want to take vaccines. So I think what governments have to do is ensure that they do. We have that problem in every country. I know France has that issue, and public opinion polls there, I think, are showing roughly a third to 40% are concerned about taking the vaccine. I think we have to find ways of incentivizing people to do that because we are getting variants. I guess we'll always have these variants, just like we have the different flu variants, and we will get vaccines for them. But I think in the short term, if we want to keep this up, I think all of us have to be very vigilant, try to play it reasonably safe, low risk, and whatever you do, take the vaccine.
Now, you mentioned vaccines there. Are we now seeing perhaps an additional pressure being placed on the shoulders of people to go and get a jab?
Oh, absolutely, pressures. But I think the better way to do it is because the people there'll be some people who don't want to take the vaccine because they're worried about the fact they may have severe side effects. But I think the evidence is on almost all of them. It's minute, absolutely minute, but they're still worried. I think we can convince those people with the science ultimately. There's a larger group of people who don't want to be told what to do. There's a different group of people. And I think being punitive with those people probably won't work. In other words, if you say, well, you can't go into cafes unless you've had your vaccine, indoors, that is, or whatever, that won't work. We have to incentivize them in a more positive way, and we have to think carefully about how we do that. Government has to do this. This is all behavioral science, really. It's very simple behavioral science, but we have to figure out a way of getting them to own up to the fact that by doing that, they will be able to, for example, travel abroad much more freely if they take the vaccine. That's one incentive way of doing it, because there will be countries that won't accept people that haven't had vaccines, at least one of them, if not two. So I think we're going to have to think carefully about that. But we need 70% or 80% of people to be vaccinated for us to get herd immunity and therefore, I think, have a really much more normal life. We're in the UK on the 21st, we're hearing from government about, like you are doing on the 30th, opening up more freely, but they haven't made the decision yet because we have the Indian variant here, and that's a bit of a problem.
Now, back here in France, we're also seeing certain companies allowing their employees back into the office who've been perhaps used to working from the comfort of their own home for several weeks, even months now. That could be a big challenge for some.
Yeah, it could be a big challenge, but guess what? Pre-COVID, I did a book called Flexible Work, which looked at the science globally. I got academics across the globe to look at, did flexible work deliver to the bottom line? Were people more job satisfied? Was their health better? And the answer was yes. Many people, given the technology, wanted to work partly from home and partly from a central office. They didn't want to work 100% from home remotely, like many of us have been doing for months. So going back into the office, by the way, there will be people who have to be at the coalface, doctors, nurses, bus drivers, paste assembly line workers, or some people just have to be at the workplace. But for the bulk of people who are in a service-based economy in France, Britain, Germany, throughout the whole of Europe, those people want to work more flexibly, partly from home, partly from central office. The future will be not mandating that you have to come in, because that's not what everybody wants to do, or mandating that you have to work 100% remotely. What we need is the human resource management departments of all organizations, public and private sector, should be negotiating with each employee to figure out what works for them given the role they play. And once we do that, we'll find it a little bit difficult because some people will want to work substantially from home. Some will want to be 100% in. But one size does not fit all, and we need to negotiate with each employee, and we'll come up with a solution. We did during the lockdowns. We managed to cope, and productivity didn't suffer that much, incidentally, during the lockdown. Quite the opposite. In many jobs, it actually improved because we had less commute time. People don't want to commute an hour and a half into Paris if every day, 9 to 5. What they want to do is come in when I need to team build, to develop a product or a service, to meet and socialize with my colleagues, etc. But that doesn't have to be every day 9 to 5. Pre-COVID, they didn't want it. Now employers see it works, delivers to the bottom line. People are more satisfied. So we're going to have this hybrid model of working. It'll be difficult at the beginning, but we'll get used to it.
Okay, Cary Cooper in Manchester in the UK. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.